We're just going to start with our next presentation about empowering employed mothers, the role of the midwife in attaining exclusive breastfeeding via continuity of care. So I would like to introduce the two speakers today. I will start with Fadia Maharani. Fadia Maharani is a graduate of a Bachelor of Midwifery in the University of Langkawi. Apologies for the pronunciation. I think that's an Indonesian university. Currently, she is pursuing a master's degree in midwifery at the Faculty of Medicine. Fadia is involved in the development of her mother's private midwifery service and baby spa business, where she serves as a midwife, therapist, and a child growth and development stimulation analyst. Her research interests are focused on public health initiative and community-based midwifery, and a particular interest in program management. Fadia also has conducted various impactful projects on maternal and child health. She has actively participated in lactation management training and implemented the knowledge in her practice, organizing childbirth preparation classes and providing direct breastfeeding support to mothers. Our next speaker is Josie Noviani. She's a graduate from the Midwifery Bachelor's and Profession program at the Universities of Andalas, and she's currently pursuing a master's degree in midwifery at the University of Padjadjaran. Josie has extensive experience in private clinic practice, focusing on maternity care, including labor, postpartum care, and breastfeeding support. She's also actively involved in community services, particularly in health education and the improvement of maternal and child healthcare services. Josie research and practice focus primarily on reproductive health and maternal health, with a special interest in innovations in maternal and infant care. She's committed to advancing breastfeeding practices and has been directly involved in supporting breastfeeding mothers and participants in programs aimed at ensuring the success of breastfeeding. So such an interesting background for both of you, Fadia and Josie. I will leave the control of this presentation to you guys, as you were requesting, you were wanting to pass the slides.
Okay. Thank you, Marcella. Okay, am I audible?
Yes, yeah.
Okay, well, okay, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on where you are joining me today. Thank you very much for joining me here, and thank you for the virtual day of the midwife organizer for allowing us to present today. My name is Fadia Maharani, and I'm joined today by my co-presenter, Josie Noviani. Together, we come from the Midwifery Postgraduate Program at the Faculty of Medicine, Universitas Padjadjaran, Bandung, Indonesia. I'm very excited to be here today, and we are being supported by one fantastic supervisor, as you can see on the slide, Mrs. Corina Estiningtia Sakila Adnani. Okay, so today, our presentation is titled Empowering Employed Mothers, the Role of Midwives in Attaining Exclusive Breastfeeding via Continuity of Care. This topic is extremely close to our hearts as it focuses on the vital role that midwives play in supporting working mothers to successfully provide exclusive breastfeeding despite the challenges they face. And in this presentation, we will explore how continuity of care from pregnancy to postpartum can empower mothers, especially those returning to work, to continue breastfeeding successfully. So I hope that you find this session too provoking, and I'm looking forward to the discussion and the question and answer at the end. Okay, I'm going to do the presentation mostly in English, but as you can see, probably guess from my accent and my background, I do speak Indonesian and English. So I'll be happy to answer question in either one of those two language on this question and answer session. Okay, so can you move to the next slide, please, Marcella?
Oh, you want me to? Okay, no worries, I'll do that.
Okay, before we start, let me ask you this question. Have you ever come across a headline like this in the news or on your social media timeline that many working mothers in Indonesia struggle to maintain exclusive breastfeeding due to workplace challenges? This statement is not just an isolated case. It's a reality for many working mothers around the world. As you can see from these articles, the issue is gaining increasing attention, especially in Indonesia. The headline you see here highlight the significant barriers working mothers face in continuing exclusive breastfeeding once they return to work. And the importance of early breastfeeding initiative, especially for working mothers, is being discussed more widely. Support from the workplace, such as providing lactation rooms or flexible work schedules, can make a huge difference in whether a mother is able to continue exclusive breastfeeding. But the challenges remains. How can we, as midwife, help support these mothers, and how can we ensure that more mothers are empowered to breastfeed exclusively despite these workplace challenges? So let's explore this further. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, so before we start, I think it's important that we realize what is we're going to be talking about. So exclusive breastfeeding is commonly defined as the practice of feeding an infant only breast milk for the first 6 months of life, with no addition of any fluids or solids. This period is crucial, and the benefits of exclusive breastfeeding are vast because it supports not only the nutritional needs of the infants, but also plays a pivotal role in the emotional attachment between mom and child. Okay, for mom, it offers health benefits such as faster postpartum recovery and helps with family planning. Next slide. Yeah, let's first take a look at the global nutrition target for breastfeeding. The World Health Organization has set an important target. By 2025, exclusive breastfeeding needs to reach a minimum of 50% globally. This target is a critical milestone in ensuring that infants receive the best possible nutrition in their early stage of life, which is crucial for the development and long-term health. Next slide, please. Yeah. Now let's shift our focus on the situation in Indonesia. This slide shows the current exclusive breastfeeding rates in Indonesia, and as you can see, the figures are concerning. In 2022, only 52.5% of the 2.1 million babies in Indonesia were exclusively breastfed, which marks a 12% decrease from the 2019 figures. And more specifically, regions such as East Java and Surabaya have rates as low as 32.92% and 41.22% respectively. These numbers falls well below the target set by the World Health Organization. Next slide.
All right, just give me a second. That's it.
Okay. Yeah, and when we zoom in on the early termination of breastfeeding, the challenges become even more evident. Many mothers are forced to stop breastfeeding earlier than planned due to the demands of returning to work. And this disruption in breastfeeding practice affect not only the infant's nutritional intake, but also the emotional bond between mother and child. The reality is, while Indonesia faces these challenges, there's still much we can do as a midwife to support and guide these mothers to ensure that exclusive breastfeeding continues despite these obstacles. Next slide, please. Okay, let's now take a closer look at some of the key challenges that working mothers face when it comes to continuing exclusive breastfeeding. These challenges can be broken down into three main issues. The first is remote workplace condition. For many mothers, the remote location of their workplace can make it difficult to find the time or space to breastfeed or express milk. And when mothers are away from home or work in environments without adequate support, they are forced to stop breastfeeding earlier than planned. The second is lack of support from the surrounding environment. Support from family members, college, and employers is crucial for breastfeeding success. Many working mothers struggle with a lack of emotional or physical support from their environment, including the absence of help at home and at work, and making it harder to maintain exclusive breastfeeding. And the third is lack of facilities for expressing milk in the workplace. Finally, another significant barrier is the lack of appropriate facilities in the workplace for expressing milk. Without proper lactation room or breaks to express milk, many mothers are unable to continue breastfeeding once they return to their jobs. So these three main problems can contribute directly to the early termination of breastfeeding, which leads to serious health implications for both, which is the mother and child, of course. Next, let's explore how as midwife can support working mothers in overcoming these barriers and help them achieve their breastfeeding goals. This is one of the solution, which is continuity of care. Okay, so continuity of care is ensures to continue support from prenatal to intranatal care, helping mothers maintain breastfeeding while managing loads. Here's how continuity of care addresses the challenges. The first is because continuity of care can providing a positive attitude towards breast milk. It is essential to instill confidence in mothers about the benefits of breastfeeding. Midwife can play a significant role to motivating mothers to overcome their doubts and concerns. The second is psychological mentoring and support. Emotional support is crucial, especially for working mothers who might feel overwhelmed by the pressures of balancing work and breastfeeding. And continuity of care includes providing mental health support and reassurance. The third is integrated services from prenatal and intranatal care. By offering seamless services that address the mother's physical and emotional needs, midwives can ensure that mothers are well prepared for breastfeeding and returning to work. And the fourth is physical, mental, emotional, and equipment preparation for exclusive breastfeeding before returning to work. Continuity care also includes preparing mothers for breastfeeding once they resume to work and equipping them with the right knowledge, emotional support, and even resources such as expressing milk, storage, and workplace policies. So by focusing on continuity of care, we can ensure that working mothers feel supported both at home and in the workplace, and leading to a successfully of exclusive breastfeeding journey. Next slide, please. Okay, let's move on to the case report that highlights the challenges and reality faced by working mothers in relation of breastfeeding. So our patient is Mrs. I, is a 28 years old who resides in Surabaya, Indonesia. She works as an accountant at a well-known firm and holds a bachelor's degree in accounting. Her healthcare expenses are covered by BPJS, which is the Indonesian National Healthcare Insurance System. And Mrs. I has been married for 3 years and has a 10-month-old son. And she has a history of back-to-back pregnancy. And in terms of obstetric history, sorry, there's a typo in our PowerPoint. The truth is that this patient is a gravida too, meaning she has been pregnant twice, including this current pregnancy, and she had one full-term delivery, and there have been no preterm births or miscarriage. She has one living child who is 10-month-old son, and she was diagnosed at 21 until 22 weeks of gestation. But her pregnancy was characterized by a head-down fetal position and a history of cesarean section. Next slide, please. Yeah. Okay, as mentioned earlier, Mrs. I works as an accountant at a well-known firm. And based on the result of our interview, we found out that Mrs. I's workplace doesn't have the necessary supportive regulation for breastfeeding mothers. This includes the absence of pumping room, and then it can make it difficult for her to express milk during work hours. And furthermore, there are no flexible working hours or designated breaks for expressing milk, and there's a general lack of awareness about the importance of breastfeeding in her workplace. However, for Mrs. I, this is not a major issue because she remains determined to continue providing exclusive breastfeeding for her baby. And she has found ways to manage even in the face of these challenges. And given these barriers, It is essential that we, as midwives, to advocate for better policies and create awareness within the workplace, ensuring that mothers like Mrs. I have the support they need to continue breastfeeding. Okay, now I'll pass it on my co-presenter, Josie Noviani, who will continue to discuss the strategies we can implement to improve this situation and support working mothers in achieving their breastfeeding goals.
Okay, thank you, Fadia. Good day, everyone. Let me continue with the presentation by discussing the crucial journey of exclusive breastfeeding, which begin from prenatal care, continue through the internatal phase, and extend into postnatal care. Its phase is essential for ensuring that both the mother and baby have the best chance at breastfeeding success. And during the prenatal period, the mother was provided with comprehensive education regarding to important of exclusive breastfeeding and proper breast care. Prenatal education is key in prepare mother for breastfeeding and addressing common concerns such as nipples shortness, engorgement, positioning for successful breastfeeding. And educating mother really ensure they feel confident and prepared to face any challenge after birth. Let now turn our attention to the internatal period on November 7th. The mother delivered a healthy baby boy via cesarean. The baby weighed 3,330 grams and was 49 centimeter length. Although the delivery went smoothly, certain challenge regarding breastfeeding initiation arose due to method delivery, and early initiation of breastfeeding was not initiated immediately due to a few challenge. One of the main factor was the mother hemoglobin levels, which were record 10.2 gram per deciliter, and indicating postpartum anemia. Anemia can significantly affect mother milk production, especially in the early day after childbirth. And therefore, required additional support for successful breastfeeding. And this hospital where the mother deliver has strict policy that prohibits the use of formula milk for newborn. This policy encourages mother initiate breastfeeding immediately after birth, ensuring that baby receive only breast milk in the first few days of life. In this practice, it is important not only nutritional purposes, but also for promoting of natural bonding process between mother and child. During the internatal phase, the mother informed about a hospital policy regarding formula milk and encouraged to remain with her baby, which allow to mother and baby to stay in the same rooms after birth, ensure that breastfeeding can be initiated immediately and sense bonding process between the mother and baby. This is critical for the success of breastfeeding, especially in the first few hours after birth. And in postnatal care involve addressing a challenge with milk production through education of technique like oxytocin massage after birth. The mother face challenge with milk production, which is common after cesarean delivers. To support mother, she was educated on technique like oxytocin massage. This massage technique helps stimulates milk production and facilitates the milk ejection reflex. Along with this, nutritional advice was provided to ensure the mother was getting the right food, express and store breast milk, ensure she could continue breastfeeding when she returned to work. Next slide. And the progress, exclusive breastfeeding was successfully initiated from day one after delivery, with not a significant issue during the process. This mother was able to breastfeed her baby immediately, which helped establish a strong foundation for breastfeeding. The May 7, an evaluation confirmed that the mother have successfully breastfed exclusive for 6 months, which is the recommended duration for exclusive breastfeeding. The success demonstrate the effective of the support and education provided through entire breastfeeding process. Next. Factor affecting the success of exclusive breastfeeding when working mother. Now let's discuss the factor that contribute to success of exclusive breastfeeding, especially for working mother. One of the most crucial factor is prenatal education provided to mothers. Research like Nur Hayati et al. Has shown that mothers who are educated about the benefits of exclusive breastfeeding during pregnancy are more likely to successfully initiate and continue breastfeeding after birth. And international support include the hospital policy of prohibiting formula milk, encouraging rooming was a major impact on breastfeeding success. This practice create an environment where mother encouraged to breastfeed immediately, leading to better breastfeeding outcomes. In the postnatal support is essential, particularly from family members. In the case, the mother family provide essential support. Her husband, mother encouraged her to continue breastfeeding despite the challenge she faced with milk productions, making it easier for her to meet her breastfeeding goals. A study show that mother who receive strong support from their families are more likely success in breastfeeding. Next slide. And factor hindering the success of exclusive breastfeeding, a significant barrier of successful breastfeeding was delayed initiation of exclusive breastfeeding due to cesarean delivery. It is common for mother who have cesarean section to experience delay in starting breastfeeding, as they may take longer to recovery from surgery. This delay can affect the mother milk supply, which can have long-term effect on breastfeeding success. Another factor hindering breastfeeding success was postpartum anemia. The mother low hemoglobin levels made it difficult for her produce an adequate milk supply. Anemia can impede the body ability to produce sufficient milk, making it harder for mother to establish strong milk. However, with proper support, nutritional, and a technique like oxytocin massage, the mother was able to overcome discontinued breastfeeding successful. Next slide. And workplace policies, lack of policies that support breastfeeding can hinder mother. Major challenge for many working mother is the lack support leave working place. In this case, the workplace did not provide in lactation room, which is critical for mother who want to continue breastfeeding after returning to work. According the study, such as done by Ebeka et al., the absence of designated lactation space can be a significant barrier to breastfeeding success. And providing lactation room at work can significantly support breastfeeding success. Workplace that provide lactation rooms and flexible working hours create an environment that support breastfeeding. Research show that when mother have access to private space for expressing milk, they are more likely to continue breastfeeding successfully after returning to work. Next slide. Okay, in conclusion, the success of exclusive breastfeeding, especially to working mother, require a comprehensive approach. This include prenatal education, international support, from healthcare provider, postnatal family support, and workplace accommodation that allow mother to continue breastfeeding after returning to work. And evaluation on May 7 confirmed that mother met the 6-month exclusive breastfeeding targets. Despite facing a challenge like postpartum anemia and the absence of a lactation room at work, the mother was able to achieve the 6-month exclusive breastfeeding target. This demonstrate the power, continue support, and proper education throughout the progress. Next slide. So continuity of care matters. Continuity of care is key. The successful breastfeeding, one of the key lessons from this case. This importance of continuity of care. It is essential for mother receive continuous support and follow-up care from prenatal education to postnatal support. It is ongoing support give mother to confident they need successfully breastfeed even after return to work. By ensuring that care is continue, mother can overcome challenge with the reassurance so that they are not alone in their breastfeeding journey. Next slide. This is our documentation throughout this journey. Telemedicine via WhatsApp used for weekly follow-up, ensuring that mother receive constant support, guidance. The use of telemedicine allow for regular check-ins, help mother addressing any question for concern she had regarding breastfeeding. We also provide education materials such as video tutorial and expressing storing breast milk, as well as guidance on overcoming common breastfeeding difficulties. And additional home visits were conducted to provide hands-on support and monitoring the progress breastfeeding. These visits were instrumental in assessing the mother comfort and confidence with breastfeeding, provide an opportunity to breastfeed any issue with in-persons. Next slide. This is the reference presents here support the study and practice discussed in this presentation. This study emphasizes the critical role of prenatal education, supportive healthcare policy, and family involvement in achieving success breastfeeding outcome. Next. Next. And I conclude my presentation on the success journey, exclusive breastfeeding among working mother. The breastfeeding success is not solely the mother responsibility. It requires comprehensive support from education and policy to empathy with her employment. As closing notes, we would like to express our deepest gratitude to the scientific literature that guide development of our intervention, and thanks to the mother who generously share her story and journey with us. Well, we would also like to extend our sincere thanks to Universitas Airlangga, Universitas Padjadjaran, and the Virtual International Day of the Midwife for their invaluable support in the study and for hosting an event that's bring attention to important issue affecting mother and healthcare provider. Additionally, we express our gratitude to Mrs. Corina Estinias Sakila Adnani for her unwavering guidance, support, and dedication throughout this study. Let us continue working toward a healthcare system that is not only for my team but also inclusive support of working mother continue, because every drop of breast milk is precious, and every stage of a mother journey deserve to be supported and empowered. Thank you for your kind attention. I have finished my presentation and will now pass it back to facilitator. Thank you.
Thank you, Yosi and Faria. So we're just going to start with the questions. If anyone got any question, I will have a quick look now on the chat. and see if anyone got any questions in regards to this topic. We got Carita. Yes, Carita. I will unmute you now. Yes.
Okay, hello, Marcella, can you hear me?
Yes, we do.
Okay. Thank you for the insightful presentation, Josie and Dia. My name is Karita, and as a midwifery student from Indonesia, I want to ask a question for your presentation. So, given the challenges that working mothers like Mrs. I face, especially with the lack of workplace support for breastfeeding, how can midwives effectively advocate for changes in workplace policies to ensure better support for exclusive breastfeeding? And what role can healthcare systems play in addressing this issue? Do you get the question?
Yes,
Faria,
I did.
yeah, good.
Okay. Can I answer?
Yes, of course, Faria.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you, Karita, for your question. So, as a midwife, we play a critical role in advocating for changes to workplace policies that directly affect the ability of mothers to continue breastfeeding. Firstly, maybe we can raise awareness about the importance of breastfeeding, not just for the infant's health, but also for the mother's well-being. So this can be done through education programs um, targeting employers and HR departments maybe and policymakers, and stressing the long-term health benefits of breastfeeding for both mother and child. And midwives can also work with healthcare system to create supportive frameworks that encourage the establishment of lactation room or flexible work hours for breastfeeding milk for the employed mothers. And this initiative should be part of broader public health strategy to improve maternal and child health outcomes. And maybe we can guide employers on how to implement policies that support breastfeeding, such as offering paid breastfeeding breaks or providing suitable environments for mothers to express growth. So healthcare system must integrate breastfeeding support as a fundamental component on maternal care, but this include not only for medical support, but also practical and psychological support. And midwives maybe can collaborate with local health authorities and employers to ensure that workplace regulation meet the needs of the breastfeeding mothers and helping them balance work and breastfeeding without compromising either. Is it answer your question? Maybe, Karita? Thank you.
I think we got another question from Kinan as well. I will unmute you, Kinan, now. That's it.
Thank you so much, Marcella. And first of all, I want to say that Happy International Day of the Midwives from Indonesia to you all. And I have a question. And thank you so much for your outstanding presentation. And I have a question. Uh, I am a midwife in Sorong City, which is Southwest Papua. So as a midwife, there's a lot of low income family, especially mother, and she cannot afford to buy a fridge to storage their milk. That's why they do not they can't give the baby's milk because she's working. And then my question is, what is the regulation you guys provide to support this type of mother? Is that clear?
Did you hear that, Faria, Josie?
Okay, can you repeat the question again? How can you?
So I live in Sorong City, Southeast Papua, and here's a woman very much background from low economic, which is they cannot afford to buy a fridge to storage the milk. That's why lead to not able to give the baby's milk. I mean the breastfeeding. So for this case, what is the regulation you guys provide to support this type of mother from low economic? The mother also working. She working as street sweeper.
Did you hear that, Fadia?
Okay, I'm here.
Or I can do in Bahasa if you want to.
Okay, I'm here. So, what regulation you recommend to support breastfeeding mothers in Papua, or in low income areas, and how can this regulation improve access to breastfeeding support, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Supporting breastfeeding mothers in low income areas, especially maybe in Papua, in one of the provinces in Indonesia, requires implementing target regulation and policies that address the unique challenges mothers face. And maybe there's some key regulation that could have. The first is maybe subsidize the maternity leave and support, which is in maternity leave in other country, and it could be implement in Papua, where economic research may be limited. It is crucial to provide subsidized maternity leave to ensure that mothers can afford to stay home during the critical first month of breastfeeding, and the government could offer financial assistance to mothers in low-income areas, ensuring they are not financially burdened. Okay. And the second is maybe community-based lactation support services. This is one of the solutions that midwives can do, which is midwife and healthcare workers can be deployed to remote and underserved areas of Papua to provide lactation education and support. Regulation could ensure the community health centers receive adequate resources and training to offer breastfeeding support. And you can maybe we can, as a midwife, we can affordable and accessible health service, maybe free or subsidized breastfeeding counseling and maternal health services, and then maybe including BPJS, which is in Indonesia Healthcare Insurance, fully cover lactation consultation service. And the fourth is breastfeeding support in schools and workplace. Breastfeeding mothers can express milk in school or workplace settings, and policies should mandate that employers in Papua offer flexible working hours and lactation rooms. And then the most important thing maybe is public awareness campaign. So regulation that require public health campaigns in local language and culturally sensitive formats can raise awareness about the importance of breastfeeding and maternal care, such as maybe campaigns should be tailored to address cultural beliefs and practice specific to Papua, and helping mothers understand the long-term benefits of breastfeeding and encouraging them to continue the practice despite financial challenges. Is it answer, or Josie Noviani, maybe you have?
Yes. Okay, I would like to add and continue discussing that regulation supporting breastfeeding for low income economy mother like Papua. One regulation supporting a government assistance programs in many country, maybe include Indonesia. There are government assistance program aimed at supporting low-income families. A program like in Indonesia, BPJS health insurance provide free or subsidy healthcare, include maternal and child health service. The service might cover prenatal care, childbirth, postnatal care, and include support breastfeeding mothers. And breastfeeding education and counseling. Some regulation require healthcare provider. They offer free or low-cost breastfeeding education to low-income mother. This can include home visit by midwife or community health where will provide advice on proper breastfeeding technique, address challenges such as lead issue or low milk supply, and offer emotional support. And like workplace lactation support for low economic mother who return to work after childbirth. Regulation might the employer provide support breastfeeding such lactation breaks, lactation rooms. This is allow mother to continue breastfeeding something during work half, even if they limited maintenance resource. And the last community support. So in place like Papua, where healthcare access can be limited, community-based regulation might be implement. This include provide local community center or clinic with breastfeeding support, nutritional programs, and access to resource for the mother. Local health ward might train to support breastfeeding. And regulation might require government-led public awareness campaign aimed at promoting the benefit of breastfeeding. This campaign focus on low-income population, provide importance of breastfeeding for both the health, the mother and the child.
Thank you, Joshi and Fadia, for answering that question. I think we're just going to go to our last question from Sia Bidan, and then we'll be able to close this session.
Okay,
Sia,
thank you, Marcella.
yeah, no worries.
Okay. Okay, hello everyone. My name is Tia, and I'm a clinical midwife from East Java, Indonesia. Okay, thank you to the speaker, Ms. Fadia and Ms. Josie, for the enlightening presentation on empowering imperfect mothers through continuity of care. It's clear that holistic support is essential during this demanding transition period. Building on the concept of holistic support, many mothers today are interested in or already utilizing complementary therapies alongside conventional care. Employed mothers in particular face significant stress related to balancing work and breastfeeding, and often seek ways to manage this stress and support their milk supply. This leads me to question regarding the integration of such approach into midwifery practices. Considering the unique pressure and challenges faced by employed mothers returning to work, such as managing stress and maintaining milk supply, how can midwives effectively and safely integrate evidence-based complementary therapies into their continuity of care? And importantly, what training or resources are crucial for midwives to confidently advise on or incorporate this therapy safely within their scope of practice? Thank you. Can you get the question?
Can you replay the question, Zia, please?
Okay. Considering the unique stressor of and challenges faced the employed mother returning to work, such as managing stress and maintaining milk supply, how can midwives effectively and safely integrate evidence-based complementary therapies into our continuity of care? And importantly, what resources or what training are crucial for midwives to confidently advise on or incorporate this therapy safely within their scope of practice. It's about holistic support for employed mother.
Okay, let me repeat your question. Considering the unique challenges faced by mothers, how can midwife effectively integrate evidence-based practice into continuity of care, and what training is crucial for midwife to confidently provide these services? Is it
Yes.
correct? Okay.
Yes, correct.
Okay.
Sorry to interrupt, Faria. We just got probably only 1 to 2 minutes to answer that question, if that's okay, because we need to close the. Thank you.
Okay, I'll be fast. Okay, evidence-based guidelines for breastfeeding and maternal health. Midwives needs to incorporate the latest evidence-based guideline, of course, for breastfeeding support and maternal health into their continuity of care models. Maybe it includes promoting exclusive breastfeeding for the first 6 months as recommended by the World Health Organization, and continuing breastfeeding with complementary food until the child is at least 2 years old, and educating mothers on early initiation of breastfeeding within the first hour of birth, as research shows that this significantly boosts breastfeeding success, and offering lactation counseling both in person and remotely to address common issues like lacting problems, low milk supply, and nipple pain. Maybe midwife can stay updated by regularly attending training workshops, seminars, or online courses that focus on evidence-based maternal and infant health practice, allowing them to provide the most current and relevant care. And we have to implement holistic and comprehensive approach to continuity of care, and maybe in regions with strong cultural practice, when midwife must integrate cultural sensitivity. Evidence-based practice should be adapted to the local context, ensuring that midwives respect local cultural beliefs about breastfeeding while gently encouraging evidence-based practice that support both maternal and child health, and work closely with community leaders and local health workers to build trust and integrate breastfeeding into local cultural practice. So we can implement the evidence-based practice, but we have to build trust first. And one of the solution is work closely with community leaders and local health workers, maybe. And what is the crucial training for midwife is, maybe if I will say, the crucial is lactation management training, which is midwife needs hands-on practical training in helping mothers with common breastfeeding issues and improving breastfeeding success. This includes training in breastfeeding techniques, correct positioning, and how to support mothers in expressing milk. And then beside that, we can also have a communication skills and then community-based care models and knowledge of local resources. I hope it answers your question, Zia.
Okay, thank you, Fadia.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you, Fadia and Yoshi, for this amazing presentation about breastfeeding and how to continuity of care impact positively into the breastfeeding journey to the employed mother.